Welcome to part 2 of my introductory videos to the practice of focusing. And as I mentioned in part 1, focusing is a research-based practice and can be used with any therapeutic modality, whether you're a therapist, a coach, or a body worker, or a layperson who wants to deepen their experience of life and relationships, as well as become a certified focusing guide and teacher. So just a quick recap here from part 1. Focusing came directly out of a large multi-site study into what makes therapy work. How come some people in therapy change and others don't? And what's exciting is that out of that research, Dr. Eugene Gendlin, the father of focusing, distilled down the micro movements that are at the heart of any real change and creative process. And so Gene and his team, what they discovered, 3 main ways of processing in the therapy sessions they studied. 2 were dead ends, and only 1 led to successful and lasting change in clients' lives. So they found that just talking about an issue without feeling it was a dead end because the felt experience was too far away, or just emoting over and over again the same angry, the same sad. These clients were too close to and identified with their feelings. But the clients who moved were in actual relationship with their feelings and their experience. They had a right distance. They could feel them, but they weren't immersed in them. So in a nutshell, central to this relating is going to a subtle and often initially fuzzy and distinct feeling sense of your issues and your situations that come inside when you pause and sense into your core, your throat and your chest and your belly. So if you lay out an issue, pause, sense in, and wait a few seconds with an open curiosity, a palpable felt sense and felt qualities will emerge. So it'll be a little misty, but if you stay receptive, don't push, keep company, and listen inside, you'll start to notice where those qualities are in your body. Then when you do that, you can start to put words, phrases, maybe images, maybe metaphors, could even be a sense of a sound or a vibration. These are symbols of what you find there. They're what Gene called handles for what's experienced there. When you do that, a whole datum of already digested material then emerges from your vastly wise unconscious. Now this is pretty awesome because this unconscious, or as Gene called it, the implicit, is where 95% or more of our processing power exists. And it processes millions of times more data, millions of times faster than our regular everyday conscious. And it puts it together in permutations and combinations that our regular thinking would never even dream of. So it's extremely creative. So it's like this image of an iceberg where the tiny tip is your everyday thinking, but who you really are, who really makes your decisions and is behind all of our opinions, is this under this waterline, out of our awareness, in the unconscious or the implicit. And the felt sense is this little red zone, and it's a zone that communicates between the 2 realms. It's the interface. And it's this practice of pausing and sensing inside and dropping beneath our more obvious regular thoughts and feelings of happy, mad, sad, to an initially fuzzy and seemingly unpromising realm underneath, and sensing the qualities. So it's like a zigzag here. So this zigzag is where we talk about or lay out our issues, pause for a moment, sense into this initially misty felt place in our core, sense the felt qualities, slowly symbolize those with our words and images, find the right handles there, And then as you find those right symbols, those right words and images, you can resonate those back with that place in your body to see if they fit. You get a sense of rightness there. There's a little kind of yes or a little give. And then you know you have the ring of truth there. So each dipping in of that zigzag to lift something out of your unconscious or your implicit brings a little step or shift. And some of those shifts can feel big, but many are very small, just a small felt step along the way. And growth can be made out of many of these zigzags and many of these little shifts, all combined together. So here is where I'm going to try and take you a step further. So that was the intro to part 1, and now I'm going to bring you to part 2. What was important in that research that I mentioned earlier was that the successful clients, the ones that actually experienced lasting positive change, not only went inside to feel and find those handles for their felt experience that was emerging from the underneath about their issues, but they also made these handles into a something. So, there's something jittery, or something feels up against the wall, or something feels frustrated and stumped here. So I'll explain why this move is important in a minute, but first let's try and experience what making a something, what it does for us inside for ourselves. So I'm just going to take you through a meditation. It's a guided focusing exercise. So I'm going to guide you inside, but once you learn focusing, it can easily and seamlessly be woven into the faster pace of a conversation. But while we're learning about it, we'll start slowing everything right down, so hopefully you can get to experience these micro movements that are involved in the focusing process. And if this very intentional guiding inside doesn't work for you, that's okay too. This method doesn't work for everybody. This zigzag with its felt shifts may only come for you in the more fast pace and relational dynamic of a conversation. So don't be disheartened if this doesn't work for you. So just getting comfortable. We'll be doing this for a few minutes here together. Just getting comfy in your chair, and maybe just shutting your eyes or looking down, whatever you need to do to turn your attention inwards. Maybe just feeling the weight of your body on the chair there. Maybe just feeling your hands and your feet, maybe giving them a little wiggle just to feel yourself there. Then maybe just bringing your attention to your arms and your legs. Now just letting your awareness come down in its own way into your throat and chest and belly. And that experience of your core can sometimes feel like it extends beyond your skin, but it's still palpably felt. And if it's hard for your awareness to come into your core, that's okay too. This is just about noticing. So just noticing what's hard about that. And while you keep yourself company there, just asking, what stands between me and feeling all okay? Another question could be, how am I right now? But I'm just going to stay with what stands between me and feeling all okay, as it normally brings something inside. just keeping that question company here. Thoughts may rush in, and that's okay, but just try to listen what comes in your body with an open curiosity. A felt sense can take a few seconds to form. So keeping company and listening to your body underneath your regular thoughts and feelings, just like you would an upset friend or a shy child or animal. Not pushing, just being open, just gently present and curious. So just keeping company with that question, what stands in the way of me feeling all okay? Just noticing if something subtle comes in your body, remembering it's often fuzzy at first. Just noticing what comes. Does a little felt something come in your throat, or is it your chest, or is it your belly, or is it all over? Maybe it's somewhere else in your body. Just feeling in, like, what are the qualities of that place? Does it have a weight, a shape? Does it have a dimension? Is it deep, or is it narrow, or is it quite broad? Does it have a texture or energetic quality? Maybe there's an emotional quality. Do words or a phrase come that may just fit there? Anything that comes, resonating that back with the body to see if there's that little yes. Maybe an image comes, maybe not, but just tapping to see. Maybe even a movement or a posture or a gesture. So of what came here, or what's come here, try saying, I am ... So I am, and then put your word or phrase or metaphor there. Just feel inside how that is to say I am, and then your word or words. I am ... What's that like inside? Just notice. Maybe now trying something is ... and your handle word or words. Something is ... and notice how that feels inside when you say something is. Something is. And now one last round. Try saying, I'm sensing something is, and then your word. I'm sensing something is ... Notice how that feels inside. I'm sensing something ... Maybe just taking a moment to note that down. So when I do this exercise in class, people tend to say that when they say I am, like I am despondent, it can feel a little overwhelming. It can feel like, oh, that's who I am. Then with the introduction of something, so something is despondent or uneasy, it often feels like there's a little more of a separation, more of that relationship with the experience. There's a me and there's this experience. And then with I'm sensing something upset or I'm sensing something despondent, and then your handle words, it can feel like even more of a separation. It may even feel like too much of a separation. And so this is different for different people and for different experiences. But having said that, sensing something does tend to create more distance, and it can be helpful at times, especially when an experience feels overwhelming and loud and you actually want to put needs that kind of distance. So of course these experiences are individual, and some people experience these combinations differently. So let me share a graphic here that might help. When we say something is, or another way of saying that is there is, or a part of me is, these are all just different ways to make a something or a package of your experience. Then what it does is it enables the all or whole of you to be in relationship to the all or the whole of it. This experience that's emerging from the 95% of your unconscious. And it's the space between the whole of you and the it or the something that allows your experience to move forward very organically. So saying something stressed, for instance, means it's not a closed and final. If you say I am stressed, it fixes it. It's like putting a lid on it. It's a statement of fact with no room for movement. And feelings and experiences are always changing and moving. That's their nature. And so this relating to something, this something, allows this natural organismic shift. And it brings even more data as it shifts from underneath. And this shifts the whole of you, the whole of your organism forwards. You take a step forward where all the levels of yourself are engaged and changed. And growth and change is made of a series of rounds, of zigzags, of these forward shifts. So Dr. Eugene Gendlin, he said a wonderful quote, which is every human experience, no matter how dysfunctional it may seem at first, has a positive life-forward movement inherent within it. So when we can find the right handle words or images or movements for that felt sense that emerges from our 95%, that's usually out of our awareness, we make a something out of it and then we relate to it, it means it can move forward. So remember the two dead ends. If we can relate to a something, we are finding this natural right distance from it. We are not so far from it that we can't feel it. So it's just our thoughts basically, where our soup is so far off we can't smell it. Research shows that doesn't work. And we're not falling into our experience, which is the other dead end of having our face in the soup, the I am. That's where we're overly identified with our experience and so can't have a relationship with it. Instead, we're doing what those successful clients did, where the whole of them was in relationship to a felt, named something. So maybe try practicing this with yourself when you have an issue. Try laying it out, sensing in with a pause, finding those handles that just fit what you feel there in that fuzzy zone inside, making those a something, keeping them company with an open curiosity that's receptive and isn't pushing. And then with other people, maybe listen for those feeling words, or when they use unusual, poetic, metaphoric, and majestic words and phrases, and reflect those back to them. And make them as something like, oh, something there felt disturbed and didn't like that movie, or oh, something there is frustrated with me and feels that I just don't get it. So try and experiment with it and see how that lands and changes you and your interactions. So, and if you're interested in further trainings or seeing some focusing demos of me working with people in a more rapid conversational pace, please go to my website to find out more.